Welcome to another session about the American English language and culture. I am teacher Gloria's Feeling. Today I'm going to talk to you about another one of the parties in the USA, and that is Independence Day, or the 4th of July. What is Independence Day? On this day in the USA, we celebrate freedom and the birth of our country, the United States of America. When is Independence Day? It is on July 4th. The first day we celebrated was in 1776. We have been celebrating annually, or every year, for 245 years. And we are celebrating the creation of the Declaration of Independence. Why did colonial Americans want independence? Their main motivation was taxation. People in England were making the laws about how to tax colonial Americans. That means that the colonial Americans did not have representation in England. That means that they did not have anyone who could speak about what was important to them. So, some tension started to grow. At the time, colonial America was not yet the USA. We were 13 colonies, and we had to follow the rules of the King of England. At the time, that was King George III. The 13 colonies from north to south at that time were New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. These tensions started to grow, and there were two competing views. On the one hand, you had people who wanted to continue to be under the authority of England. But on the other hand, you had people who did not want to be under the authority of England. A fight broke out because of these two competing interests. And that one fight turned into the American Revolutionary War. We also call it the American Revolution. The 13 colonies sent representatives or delegates together to meet in a group called the Continental Congress in Pennsylvania. The Continental Congress decided that it wanted to declare or announce that the colonies were going to separate once and for all from England. Some key facts during this time were that the Declaration of Independence was written in its first draft by Thomas Jefferson and a committee of people. So within the Continental Congress, there was a committee assigned to write the Declaration and the words that we have in that document today. Thomas Jefferson wrote the first draft, and then his committee revised it. After that, the Continental Congress approved or ratified the Declaration of Independence. Next, they sent it out to the different troops of the American Revolution so that they would know that this document had been written and they would be aware that independence was coming. One of the copies of the Declaration of Independence made its way back to England, and King George III saw it, did not approve. At the same time, we were already fighting here on American soil, so the revolution had begun, and the Declaration had been written. It was officially signed in August of 1776, but it was created in July, and that's why we celebrate. Other key facts are that John Hancock is one of the delegates who signed the Declaration, but his signature was the largest. So now in American culture, when someone says, "Could you please put your John Hancock on this?" they mean, "Will you please sign it?" To put your John Hancock on something means your signature. And all of this took place in Pennsylvania in 1776. There are key words in the Declaration of Independence called the Preamble. A segment of the Preamble some Americans like to memorize and I encourage you to memorize it, because following the Declaration of Independence, people used the wording to create new laws and legislation about the freedom of all people. In 1776, everyone didn't get a chance to be free. There were still people who were enslaved in America. But after the fact, people used some of the words and the spirit of the Declaration to gain their freedom and to make laws about it. I encourage you to memorize this segment of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You will hear sometimes in American culture and in American folklore people talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now you know where that phrase comes from. So, the 4th of July is one of the great parties in the USA. We have fireworks to celebrate the liberation that we experienced from the British rule, and the fireworks represent the bombs that were going off during the American Revolution. Now we've turned it into a celebration with beautiful colors and parades, lots of food, and we spend time with our families. We have fun together, and above all, we celebrate freedom. I have included sources for you so that you can study independently or by yourself. I encourage you to memorize that segment of the preamble to the Declaration of Independence that I recited. Let me know in the comments below if you have memorized this section of the Declaration of Independence. I would really appreciate knowing that you are learning more about American culture and language. Here are my sources so that you can get started on your own study. It's just a start, and I encourage you to learn more and more about the American English language and culture. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me again for some more videos on American culture and language.